Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in for another video. So in this video we're going to be talking about yet another redesign of the 1,000-gallon Moray eel aquarium. So unfortunately the Moray eels are getting bigger and bigger, so the 4-inch PVC pipe system is not really working anymore. And also they are not using any of the flower pots that I put into the tank in the last redesign. So it's getting a little bit crowded in the pipe system, so it's time to upgrade to something bigger. Okay, I'm standing in front of the 1,000-gallon Moray tank, and I just put in some food to hopefully make the eels come out so you can see them in their full glory. Here we have the tessellata next to the Brazilian green Moray. Tessellata has grown a lot since I got him. So did the giant, or has the giant Moray. And yeah, everything else in here, the sharks are growing very fast. Obviously the Caribbean green Moray that I recently purchased, he already grew, and he was already 3 feet the size of the tessellata. So this is a big eel. And then the Viper Moray up there, it's difficult to say how big he is. He was 3 feet when I got him, so I'm sure he didn't shrink. So yeah, so this is kind of the topic of this video, which is that the eels are starting to outgrow this tank. And here you can also see a problem that I've noticed with the sharks. They're just getting pretty aggressive when they're doing feeding time, and I'm actually feeding every single day to avoid this problem, but it's not working. So there is a chance that I may need to rehome these, at least this bamboo shark right here, this gray one, because he just nips at the eels way too much, despite being fed every day. And the other one that you see back there, this is the white spotted. He doesn't do any of that, but I heard that sharks are doing much better when they're in pairs, as long as you don't have two males. So this marbled one is actually a male, and this one is a female. And it's been, these two are getting along well, but unfortunately, there's some aggression towards the eels. Yeah, so as you may be able to tell, the eels are starting to outgrow this 4-inch PVC pipe system. And they can still, go in, relatively comfortably. But for example, the tessellata and the giant Moray, they do like to be in the same opening and hang out in the same opening because they've just been together their whole life. So this is getting more and more difficult for them, simply because they're getting so big. And unfortunately, these pots, even though I really like how they look, nobody is really using it. The Caribbean Moray, green Moray that's coming out now, he was using them when he was new, because the pipe system just had an eel in pretty much every opening, and he just wasn't comfortable, so he just went into the pots because nobody else was in the pots. But then as he got along, or started to get along with the other eels, he started to hang out in the pipe system with them. So essentially nobody is using these pots. So my thought was that the eels, when they outgrow the PVC, so the green Moray, the tessellata Moray that you see next to the Brazilian, haven't seen that in a long time, but they are getting along, I guess a little bit. So the giant Moray, I thought when these bigger eels would outgrow the pipe system, that they would eventually just hang out in the pots, but they're not doing that, unfortunately. And what's been happening is that it's getting harder and harder for the eels to find a spot in this PVC pipe system, because everyone is trying to use it. And yeah, so even though it is pretty long, it's at least 8 feet long, in the top and maybe 7 on the bottom, has multiple openings. So we have 1, 2, 3 on the bottom, and we have 5 openings on the top, and then another one on each side, on the side ends. So unfortunately, yeah, this is not enough space for the eels if they're not using the pots. And if you look at the pots, they're pretty long. They're 32. These two are the bigger ones. This is a little bit shorter, and the bigger ones, they are 32 inches long, and the smaller one is around 26. And if you look at them from the side, they take up a ton of space. So I would say if you also add these two strawberry pots on the top, which also nobody uses, you are talking about maybe 1/3 of the tank not being used, which is a lot in a 1,000 gallon tank. So especially with all these eels. So yeah, my point is I will have to get inside this tank, remove the pots, and remove the pipe system. And in order to do this safely, I have to remove all the eels temporarily. And if I am deciding to keep the sharks, which I'm still debating, I will leave the sharks inside while I'm doing this. So I will basically be draining the water up to like here, so I can safely work, but we'll catch all the eels so that I don't get bitten. I don't think the sharks would bite me, but I will try this. And yeah, the monofish will also stay in there, and then I will put the this sailfin tank and then this fox-faced rabbit, I will put those into the 270 gallon tank, because they have a tendency, mine don't do it yet, but tanks have a tendency to nip or pick on the eyes of sharks and rays, and I don't want that to happen to these sharks. And maybe they are starting to do that, and this is why the sharks are stressed out, and when they're stressed out they will become aggressive, and then I will become aggressive towards the eels. So maybe by me taking out these tanks, the aggression between the sharks towards the eels will also go away. This is something that happened before when I had my lionfish. So because the giant moray and the tessellata, you see this beautifully here, how they like to hang out together. So these two have been living together their whole life. That's why when I was interested in buying the tessellata, the seller said, no, you have to take the other eel. Only problem is he lied about what kind of eel it was. He said it was a Japanese Kidaku eel, which goes to 3 feet. And he ended up being the giant moray, which is why I had to buy this huge aquarium. But yeah, to my point, the tessellata and the giant moray like to hang out together. They need to be able to continue to do that. And when I had the lionfish, basically what happened was whenever they started to swim, they would have to avoid the lionfish in this small 270 gallon tank, which kind of stressed them out. And then these two actually started to fight, which is something I would have never expected. I thought I would have to get rid of one of them, which would have been heartbreaking. But as soon as I removed the lionfish, and I only removed them because I was tired of hand feeding them, because they would not pick up any food that would fall to the bottom. I was just tired of hand feeding them constantly and worried about getting stung. So I sold them, but as soon as they were gone, the eels were totally fine. So I'm cautiously, optimistic that something similar will happen once the two tanks are out of this tank, and that they will no longer be aggressive towards there will be no more aggression between the sharks and the eels, because the sharks are no longer going to be stressed out. So as you can see here, giant moray is trying to make its way through this 4-inch pipe system, and the tessellata is also getting so fat, so it's just getting really difficult. So what I have to do is what you see down here. I have to upgrade the pipe system to the next size, or 2 sizes up, which is 6-inch. I'm not going to do 8-inch because then it would be too difficult to create a lot of openings, because I would not have enough space to make like a 90-degree turn to have something like this up there. So I settled for 6-inch, got a really good deal. When I set up this ABS pipe system, I basically bought every piece from Lowe's brand new, and every single one of these connectors, like this piece right here, or this that swings down, or where he sits with his feet, each one of them was like $40 or more. So I was able to get a really good deal on this 6-inch piping for $10 each. And actually, let me show you, I have a whole lot more outside. There you go. I bought all this PVC to have enough piping to do whatever I want to do creatively. So hopefully this will be enough to finish that project. So yeah, back to the tank. Like I said earlier, I will have to take every eel out and then basically start this project. So, but what I will do is I will, to minimize stress on all the animals in here, I will design the pipe system outside of the tank, which is what I've done with this as well. So I wasn't, fiddling around inside the tank. So I had it all planned out, measured out, put together, and then I put it into the tank. And the same thing I'm going to do with this new version, new pipe system. So I will make sure everything fits correctly. I may have to remove these openings for the closed loop system. So basically we'll cut off the bottom so that the water will only flow upwards and not into different directions. Like I have, nozzles. I have these 3-way connectors, and I have a nozzle on each connector to be able to direct the flow. So I probably won't be able to do that anymore, but that's fine. I have wave makers, 2 there and 2 on the other side. Then I have another one up there. So I am creating a lot of flow with those wave makers already. But yeah, if I can avoid, removing the openings for the closed loop system, then I will. But it looks like I will probably have to do that. And then another thing is the ABS pipe, the connectors, they come in black, but the piping in between was white. And so I had to spray paint the connector, the piping, to make it look nice. And I may have to do something similar with this PVC. So the PVC connector and the piping is all white. But what could happen is what you see here. Like once algae starts to grow in the PVC, it's going to look really ugly. So I will constantly either be, scrubbing off algae to make the tank look somewhat decent, or I will have to spray paint the whole pipe system, and then it will look a little bit nicer. It won't look as dirty. So, there will still be algae growing up there, but it's going to blend in a lot better. But yeah, so from now on, I'm just going to be measuring, coming up with ideas, and then hopefully I will be able to show you my new design. All right, so this is the aquascape that I came up with, a lot of trial and error. Basically, I had 2 different aquascapes, and I put a post on one of the Facebook groups to see which ones people like better. It kind of was an even split. So this one has a lot of horizontal hidings. So we have one long here, and then we have a center one, not as wide, and then a bottom one. And then we have, a lot of them sticking forward. And then here we have 2 verticals. So the other scape that I had created had a lot more verticals and fewer horizontal pieces. But I do believe horizontal will be beneficial in the long term. So we'll see how the eels will like it. So yeah, I decided that because this pipe system is so huge that every animal will have to come out. Also because I have to take off the one-way check valves from the closed loop system, and I'm basically just going to be installing a drain plug like you see here on the drain right there. So I'm just going to be placing that on top of each one, so when the closed loop system turns on, the water will just be pushing up and not into different directions. It's not too bad because I also have these G-bow wave makers. So yeah, like I said, everyone has to come out. And the sharks, they're not going to be going into a brood bin because they're a little long, too long for the brood bin. So I actually purchased something else for them. So I got a really good deal on this pond. This is basically a Rubbermaid 300-gallon pond. It's really wide. It's 64 inches long, 64 wide, and 24 inches deep. So perfect for holding sharks temporarily. Some people use this actually to house sharks permanently, but I'm not doing that. I also came with this bead filter. So for the pond filtration upgrade that I will be tackling at some point. But yeah, this is where the sharks will go in, and the morays will go to the brood bins as usual. So I'm not gonna film every step now, taking everything out, putting everything in, gluing the PVC piping and all that stuff. So basically the next clip will be with everything already being done. Some of these fish, this tank, the sailfin tank and the fox-faced rabbit, they will go into the 270-gallon tank, because these types of fish, they will eventually start nipping on the eyes of the sharks. They haven't done it yet, but I don't want to wait till that happens. And yeah, so next clip, like I said, will be with everything already done, and then we can wrap up this video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most natural looking aquascape you've ever seen. Nothing like having a slice of nature in your tank. So all jokes aside, this is super artificial. It's an escape that is purely for a specific purpose, which is to provide, as much hiding spaces as possible for the moray eels. So that's why I don't mind it. Usually I would wait, maybe a week or two before I film an update when I have a project like this, because I want to wait until the eels are fully, used to their new surroundings. But I decided to actually film this only 2 days after I put everything into this tank. And that is because I know that this PVC pipe system is going to start looking ugly rather quickly, because once the algae starts growing, you see a lot of brown spots everywhere. It's not going to look pretty. So want to film this opportunity. Take this opportunity to film this now and show you guys before this happens. But I will just let nature run its course and let everything grow. I do have some Mexican turbo snails in here, but I don't think they will be able to keep up, with cleaning this whole pipe system and making it look like it is looking now. So, the moray eels absolutely love it. So, because they've only been in this pipe system now for only 2 days, they're still getting used to the new environment. But I have seen the tessellata swim around everywhere. Like, he's really exploring it. The giant moray, the biggest swimmer of all my eels, he loves it. And next to him, you actually can see the viper moray. So, yeah, one big advantage of upgrading from 4-inch to 6-inch is that now this provides a lot of space for eels to just hang out with each other, next to each other. So that's something that I really wanted to make happen, especially for the tessellata and the giant moray, who have grown up together and been together their whole lives, and are used to hanging out next to each other. So with the old scape, it wasn't possible. Like, the tessellata would be in the opening, and then the giant moray would, be in a different location, and then reach over to the tessellata to be next to him. But now they don't have to do that anymore. And so one thing that I really wanted to address when I designed this pipe system was the maintenance aspect. So with the old one, I did not, have maintenance in mind. So what I had to do is basically I had a Jibao return pump and stuck a big or long PVC pipe on top of the pump, and just pointed the pump, into every hole. It was the 20,000 version of the pump, so the largest, which is also the pump that runs this bead filter here in the back. And so the problem with that is, because that pump was so strong, it was really difficult to hold on to it while trying to blow out all these pipes. So what I've done is, on the very left, you can see that I have the same pump now hard plumbed into this pipe system. So I have basically the 6-inch pipe, and then I have a 6-inch to 2-inch reducer. And then the Jibao pump, unfortunately, even the 20,000 version only comes with a 1.5-inch connector as the largest connector. So I then also installed a 2-inch to 1.5-inch reducer, and then use the rubber coupling so that it's easier for me to remove the pump if I ever have to do maintenance. But I will rarely have to do that because I'm only going to be turning it on doing maintenance and basically just flushing out the eel, the pipe system. And I only have it installed on the bottom. I don't need to worry about the upper parts because any gunk that's accumulating in the upper part is eventually going to make its way down just by the eels, slithering through the pipe system. So the dirt will settle on the bottom, and then I will turn on this pump and we'll flush everything out. And I may even show you a demonstration in a little bit. But yeah, so here we see the the Brazilian green moray. So this is the one I thought about getting rid of because the Caribbean green moray is already in here, and 2 green morays. I don't know if I would have enough space, but I decided to keep him until it becomes a big problem having 2 green morays in here. But because now they have so much space in so many different areas. Before I would have this pipe system that goes around, and then I would have these big pots in the center, but because nobody was using the pots in the center, everyone was just hanging out at the edge of the tank basically. And so it became, even with the tank like this, 10 feet long, 4 feet front to back and 4 feet tall, so 1,000 gallons, it became a little bit cramped for 6 eels, because I have a giant moray, tessellata moray, 2 green morays, a viper moray and a zebra moray, and then the 2 sharks on the bottom. So yeah, it just wasn't enough space. But now that I have this pipe system, basically pretty much every inch of the tank can be utilized by the eels, when it comes to having a place to hide. So basically I gave them, maybe another 40% of space, because the pots were taking up so much space and empty space basically, since nobody was using them. So now I basically, gave them another 40% of space in this tank. So, yeah, and not sure what else I can cover. I'm going to turn on this Jibao pump in a second here to show you how this is working. And I made sure that all these connectors are protruding forward so that the eels, are nice and close to you, and that will kind of force them also to become used to me even more. So before I would not have these extenders, so the openings are all the way in the back, and then I wanted to have these extenders to basically also create more of a longer cave. So since these eels are getting pretty large, the giant moray being the largest moray in the world, growing up to 10 feet, tessellata 8 feet, viper moray 8 feet, green morays 8 feet, zebra moray 5 feet. So I'm not sure how long it will take for them to reach that size, but I did keep that in mind when I built this pipe system, because I don't think I can upgrade to 8-inch anytime soon, because these fittings are very expensive, and plus they're so large that it would really hinder me when it comes to creating a big nice moray eel playground, if you will. Right now the aquarium is basically a house, and I basically turned it into a 3 apartment house, basically. Multiple apartments, multiple sections. Everyone can find their own place. Everything is connected with each other, so an eel that probably, for example, goes in here can come out of any of the holes. So sometimes I just sit in front of the tank and play a game and see the giant moray swimming around, going into the pipe, and then guessing where he's coming out of. And he can literally come out of anywhere except for the bottom left where the Jibao return pump is. And yeah, the sharks are also doing well. I installed these risers basically, had some 4-inch PVC left over, cut them to 6-inch in length, installed some rubber caps to give this a little bit of wiggle room, because if you don't cut it exactly to 6-inch, which is very likely since I'm just using a handsaw, this whole thing could be like wobbly if it's not perfectly straight. So by using these rubber caps, I'm giving myself some help when it comes to making this all sit perfectly straight. Basically, it will help balance out any uneven cuts. And yeah, so let me show you how the return pump now works. The pump in the back that will flush out the pipe system. Alright, so I'm now going to turn on the pump in the back to flush out the pipes. So just turned it on, set it to the highest settings, so full 20,000 gallons. And now you should see the eels are starting to feel the water flow through. So you can already see some stuff coming out of the pipes, eels coming out. That's nice, seeing both green Morays hanging out together. But yeah, so they don't like it too much, obviously, to have all this water flowing through, but you can see here stuff is coming out. So this will really help. And down here you actually see the bottom drain. So it's great that most of it will come out from this side, because then when I open the bottom drain, it will just easily get flushed out. So yeah, this I think was a good idea to install. Makes my life a lot easier when it comes to maintenance. Okay, I think this is going to be it for this video. I was going to show you maybe a feeding, but unfortunately the eels are still getting used to this tank. They're still kind of on a hunger strike. The sharks as well. So there's no point in putting food in if nobody touches it. I did put some in last night, and then everything was still there this morning. Had to take everything out. So unfortunately I can't show you that, but yeah, I think the eels are really going to like this once they have settled into their new home, quote unquote. And then, yeah, this aquarium is not about the aquascape. It is just about the eels at this point. So I believe if you have happy Moray eels, especially when they get even bigger, and you constantly see them swimming in and out of the pipes, through the pipes, around the pipes, you know, that is really what this aquarium is all about. Not so much about the pipes, you know, or whatever decoration you put in the tank. It's just purely about the eels at this point. And because I have 6 of them, you know, there's a good chance that somebody is always going to be out and about and swimming around. So yeah, that's why I don't really have a big problem with this looking so artificial. It's just purely functional at this point. You know, I do have some rocks in the back. I put them in only for the cleaner wrasses, because they sleep in the holes of the rocks at night. And if I didn't have them in this tank, I don't know where they would be sleeping. So that's why I wanted to give them at least an opportunity to hide at night. And yeah, I think this is it. Let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, this tank is not going to look nice and clean like this for a long time. Especially with these lights, they're really powerful. So yeah, but if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you got some inspiration. How to build a PVC pipe system, what you can do with, you know, all these different types of connectors that are available. And yeah, hope you have a good day, and thanks for watching.